Sonic the Hedgehog did the impossible. In the span of less than half a year, became America's best-selling video game for several months, had already sold 1 million copies in the United States alone, and was Blockbuster's #1 most rented game of 1991. With such a humongous success on Sega's hands, the obvious question is then presented: what about a sequel? As we discussed last time, Sonic the Hedgehog was ambitious for its time, and because of that had some issues that needed ironing out. And what better way to do so than with a sequel to Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, released in 1992, the very next year no less, developed in just 9 months. Sonic 2 strikes a strong first impression. Emerald Hill Zone is a worthy successor to Green Hill Zone, though being different in various aspects. While Green Hill's music was calm and soothing, Emerald Hill is loud and bombastic. Green Hill showcased Sonic's iconic 3-path structure in its level design. Middle path is where you start, and is usually the comfortable ride to the end. The top path is harder to maintain, but will see you clearing the level the fastest. The lower route will be more problematic with more enemies and obstacles, but will reward you the most for your exploration and curiosity. That thought of, hey, what's over there? And there usually is something there for you, is everywhere. Emerald Hill's approach to this philosophy is to flatten the level. Instead of 3 paths all accessible at once, it starts off with 2 paths, then a top path deviates for those who can reach it, and a bottom path presents itself if the player is to fall down. It's hard for me to say this is a downgrade, even though it seems like it should, as the main idea is still present. Exploration for those who seek it out, and speed for those who are up for the challenge. It just seems a tad more focused and boxed in than Green Hill. It feels like the zone is constantly pushing you forward with slopes and springs everywhere, showcasing what Sonic 2's main focus is this time around: speed. This game wants you to go fast. You could zoom past Green Hill, but you had to know where to jump and what path guaranteed the fastest result. It wasn't easy to gain speed. Sonic 2 changes that, not only from the previously mentioned extra abundance of springs and slopes, but with Sonic's brand new move, the Spin Dash. You see, Sonic 1 had these sections where if you hadn't built up speed beforehand, you had to walk back a bit, then carry on with the rest of your day. Pressing down and mashing A will result in an instant burst of speed, making previous dull sections now basically non-existent, opening the door for so many more creative ways to explore, or just to go fast, because going fast is fun, goddammit. Speed that once took a section of build up to reach before now is just a button press away. Pressing the jump button just as you release the spin dash will see you gain some very crucial speed and altitude, even from just a standstill. It's crazy to think that the spin dash hasn't been a thing since day one. Sense of its importance it possesses because of the gateway of fun it opens up in this franchise. It's like Kirby and his copy ability. Hard to believe something so crucial to the character's identity was absent in his debut. Speaking of big changes for Sonic 2, the special stages have been completely reworked. Remember how I was pretty annoyed at how Sonic 1 only let you have 10 drive to assist 6 Chaos Emeralds? Don't go to be a mathematician to know that system wasn't very forgiving at all, and was very cheap. Now the entry for special stages is via checkpoints. Just like in Sonic 1, you need 50 rings to enter a special stage, but as opposed to that system, which forced you to hold onto your rings till the very end of an act, now because entries are tied to checkpoints, as you could guess, this means there is a lot more entries. Therefore, the system is far more balanced and fair in my opinion, as getting to a special stage still takes the same objective and is a lot more fun as you are actively searching out checkpoints, instead of just holding right and hoping nothing comes to ruin your party. However, getting and maintaining 50 rings and finding a checkpoint is still difficult, but fair. Most of the time. Well, once you do get your rings and reach a checkpoint, now, instead of losing your sanity over a migraine fest, Sonic 2's special stages takes the form of the half pipe. The goal is to collect enough rings to pass each progression gate and avoid the bombs, which make you lose 10 rings and makes you want to take Tails and surgically remove his head from his body. Oh yeah, Tails, I completely forgot about him. Sonic 2 sees the introduction of yet another Sonic staple, a new playable character. A cute little fox. Ah, come on, just look at him, he's so adorable. Though very strange, in the original release of this game, Tails actually didn't play any differently from Sonic. He was just a clone. The Mario parallels never stop, do they? So everything you know from him, like his flight, is completely absent. Though luckily, the mobile port fixes this, so you can use the little fox as God always intended. Every time I've played Sonic 2, I've stuck to just Sonic, as I've heard horror stories of Tails' AI in the special stages. Surprisingly though, I had next to no issues with Tails. He only cucked my chances for an emerald during the last one. Other than that, he was no problem at all for me, and I feel his usefulness finding secrets is definitely worth the trade-off. Why don't you try it for yourself? Maybe you'll come to the same conclusion I did. Getting back to the topic of the special stages, these are definitely a whole lot better than whatever you call this from last time. Despite their reputation of being very trial and error heavy with their bomb placements, I personally was able to clear the first 4 no problem. Would have been 5, but this trail of rings messed me up. I figured out it becomes easy if you just take it slow, as you get a lot more rings this way. So don't rush it. I wouldn't call any of the special stage layouts cheap, as I feel if you just stay in the middle and realize that the rings swap sides, so if you collect the chunk on the left, then move to the right, then generally you will have made the right judgment 9 times out of 10. Sure, there are moments where you'll probably get hit, or you're like me and panic and it somehow works out for you. I can't really say that the special stages have a natural learning curve, as I found the first 5 to be very simple, and while 6 and 7 took a couple of attempts, that's more due to the fact that the ring count became more strict, and therefore I was forced to memorize where the rings and bombs would be, not really because there was more obstacles thrown my way. However, I would say that the perspective and layout of the half-pipe can make it basically impossible to see what's ahead of you sometimes. And that is the biggest problem these special stages face. While I feel their reputation as very trial and error heavy is quite frankly overblown, it is still a problem that showed that Sonic Team was still figuring out the formula for a perfect special stage. While I had a relatively comfortable time nabbing all the emeralds, I wouldn't say that's because I'm familiar with their layouts. More so that I was able to react quickly or just got lucky. So I feel it is certainly much more achievable to nab all the emeralds this time around, as opposed to Sonic 1, even though there is 7 to grab as opposed to 6. They certainly aren't perfect, but I would definitely say these are a huge improvement over the Sonic 1 special stages. Those were just frustrating, as I never felt in control and therefore not responsible for my failures. Barring some BS, these are a lot more enjoyable. Chemical Plant is a perfect example that the tides were changing, where Sonic 1's second level was slow and moody. Sonic's 2's second level is loud and fast. Did I say this level was fast? Like, really fast. Try to keep up. You can tell Sonic Team had a clear focus for Sonic 2. Make it faster. Chemical Plant is the perfect example to point to in how to craft a perfect Sonic level. It balances speed and platforming beautifully, never doing either for too long to get bored. Just like how I outlined what made Green Hills so excellent last time. That same mentality carries over into Chemical Plant Zone. That freedom of choice is what ties it all together. You could decide to zoom past everything in sight at insane speed, or you could explore and choose the path you want to take. It's never one mode all the time, proving that you don't have to balance a fast zone with a slow zone, because the zones themselves balance speed and slow sections. You don't need dedicated fast and dedicated slow sections to make a good Sonic level. Naturally flowing them together is the key to successfully building a great Sonic zone. Speaking of great things, how about that music? I kinda glossed over most of the Sonic 1 soundtrack last time. A shame too, because I really like Marble and Spring Yard's tracks. Labyrinth is the only one where I feel is just flat out bad. Sonic 1 soundtrack feels very atmospheric. Even in the energetic tracks like Green Hill and Spring Yard, it feels calm, going for more moody sounds in the cases of Marble, Labyrinth, and Scrap Brain. Sonic 2's approach to music is non-stop catchy beats all the time. As a whole, I would say this soundtrack is superior, simply because there are more zones. Therefore, a lot more music. Everything from Emerald Hill to those ending credits is simply a work of art. Of course, of any soundtrack, it's not perfect, but the pros certainly shine bright, and none showcase that better than Chemical Plant Zone. Up next, Aquatic Ruin Zone. Now, we've discussed what a good follow-up zone looks like and how it's crafted, how Marble Zone fails and why Chemical Plant succeeds. With that done, Aquatic Ruin Zone asks a different question. How can we turn Labyrinth Zone into a fun and enjoyable zone? There's two main reasons why Aquatic Ruin succeeds above its predecessor. 1. The water is completely optional. Labyrinth was a slog. Very ironic, given that Sonic is all about going fast, so a water level where your movement is slowed down to the speed of a sloth isn't necessarily the most fun idea out there. Even in the very brief moments where you aren't underwater, it's very slow and wading heavy. To counteract this, Aquatic Ruin utilizes the free path structure to avoid this pitfall. The bottom path is where the water stays. If you know what you are doing, you can avoid the water entirely by taking the top path. Though even if you find yourself in water, it is broken up much better than Labyrinth. The sections won't last very long compared to Labyrinth, and the insta-kill garbage has been greatly reduced. Mostly. Also helps the underwater segments have some speed to break it up, and the zone has 2 acts as opposed to Labyrinth's 3, and both acts are much shorter. Even on the punishment path of sluggish water, it is still far more enjoyable than Labyrinth, where it was the whole zone. Treating water as a punishment rather than a lazy excuse for a late game challenge that can be chosen to be avoided by the players who don't want to engage with it was clearly the right idea and would be the blueprint for water levels in the future. These next few zones, Casino Night, Hilltop and Mystic Cave, all share a similar theme, linear and boxed in levels. Now, let's discuss why these zones work and why the first linear level, Marble Zone, fails. First of all, pace. Marble Zone is plagued by the dreaded waiting game. Push this block, now wait here, and wait some more. On the other hand, these zones are constantly on the move, just like in Chemical Plant. Slow platforming is treated as a break rather than the norm. You are still free to explore and go where you want, whenever you want, even though you may be in a confined space. That free path structure stays true. Take Mystic Cave for example. You start on the top path, but the more you fall down, the slower and harder it will be to get back to the path you started on. And therefore, the more time you spend in the zone, taking a slower route is through your choice and not some arbitrary forced difficulty. A key difference that excels these zones above Marble Zone is the fact that they don't forget about the speed, something you definitely could not say about Marble. This is what keeps these levels fun because you still approach them the same way you would for the open zones. Choose to go fast or explore at your leisure. The gameplay may be slower than a Chemical Plant zone, but it's replaced with more platforming, not with more waiting, which is a key difference as to why these zones are fun and why Marble Zone is liked by absolutely no one. Of the three, Hilltop definitely feels the most like a standard platforming stage, rather than a Sonic level. The reused asset certainly isn't helping its feeling of blandness. Not saying it's bad, just pretty unremarkable. Oh yeah, and Oil Ocean is fine, I suppose. Oh yeah, can't forget about Hidden Palace Zone. I'm sure you know the story by now. A scrap zone that was then made fully playable by Christian Whitehead. Of course, super cool that he went out of his way to do this. Huge kudos there. It may be only one act, but the level is pretty large in scope, focusing more so on verticality than multiple pathways. Not much else to add here, just a decent zone and an awesome little secret. Sucks that here in Sonic 2 Absolute you have to mod it in and it just boots you back to the main menu. But whatever, no big deal. So you know all those nice things I've had to say over the last 18 minutes? We can throw that all in the bin because my god, does Sonic 2 take a nosedive of indescribable proportions in the most infamous zone yet, Metropolis Zone. The worst enemy placement, the most aggravating enemies I've ever had to witness. It seems like it was perfectly designed to knock you back at the perfect time. Crabs. These bastards. These starfish you'll have shooting their projectiles at just the right moment to make you want to snap your controller in half. And as if it couldn't get any worse, this is the only zone to have 3 acts, so you will really feel the slog of Metropolis in full effect. This is probably the only thing I can say Sonic 1 did better than Sonic 2. So yeah, take that for what it's worth. Yeah, Metropolis is absolutely horrible. You see, because Sonic games are built very differently from your average platformer, being all about going fast, rings were added in replacement of a life bar to make up for how hard it can be to see what's ahead of you sometimes. You get hit, lose your rings, pick them back up. You are basically invincible at all times. The only other way you could die aside from just poor performance was getting crushed or a bottomless pit. So because of this, it's a lot harder to build a natural difficulty curve. So the question is asked, how can you make a fair difficulty for a character that is basically untouchable? Well, Sonic 1's scrap brain zone method was to chuck a bunch of obstacles and tricky platforming, and I think it worked out pretty well. You couldn't really die, but the challenge was definitely there. Metropolis Zone's approach to difficulty is to just throw a bunch of annoying enemies where you can't possibly react to them. Even if you knew they were coming, sometimes they are placed in a specific way where you are guaranteed to take a hit. It's like Metropolis takes every bad element of Sonic 1 and 2 and combines it into one awful zone. The weighting of marble, awful enemy placement of Spring Yard and Aquatic Ruin, obnoxious enemies of Starlight, free axe structure of Sonic 1, basically everything bad from Sonic 1. Whew, boy, it's a mess. Next up is Sky Chase Zone, which sees good boy Tails flying the tornado in order to reach Dr. Eggman in the sky. Love the chill vibe this zone has. I don't mind that the gameplay is very simplistic, especially being an auto-scroller. With the absolute train wreck I just went through, I could use something more relaxed. After that short romp of fun, we reach the mighty Wing Fortress Zone, ditching poor boy Tails. My god, even more Mario parallels. This one is also a decent romp. The tension is certainly cranked up a notch, being high up in the sky and whatnot. Nothing that I can't handle. I mean, come on, I was able to put up with this. What can't I do? After a surprisingly difficult boss that killed me way more times than I would like to admit, Sonic boards Eggman's ship, bang boom flashy cutscene, now. The final zone awaits. The Death Egg Zone. A 2-boss gauntlet. First you face off not Metal Sonic. Having no rings definitely forces you to be more cautious, especially compared to what you've been doing the whole game. But he has a pretty simple pattern once you learn it. After that, and an Olympic sprint, the 2 final boss awaits. The Death Egg Robot, with the most wonky hitbox imaginable. I get why they took all your rings away, as the fight would be a complete joke without them. I feel, just like the special stages and Metropolis Zone, that there is still work to be done to obtain that perfect difficulty balance that Sonic 2 is trying so hard to achieve and perfect. So the fight becomes either a frustrating rage fest, or it's a long and drawn out waiting game. Bonking just before he lifts off, and when he tries to land on you is really the only safe chance to land some hits. So that's what I choose to do, as opposed to this. He has an incredibly simple pattern. Walks, flies, comes down, launch arms, rinse, repeat. Just be cautious and don't jump while he launches his arms, and you'll be good to go. No matter how flawed the Death Egg Robot may be, that last hit always feels so good. After a very charming cutscene where Tails fires up the tornado to save Sonic falling from the sky. Not that it matters, because you'll probably be super. But hey, gotta appreciate that character go for wee little lad Tails. With both our heroes safe and full of glee, that concludes Sonic the Hedgehog 2. As if I haven't made it abundantly clear already, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is one of the greatest gaming sequels ever. Takes everything that didn't work and either takes it out or refines it to near perfection. Everything that a sequel should strive to be is here in Sonic 2. And in just 9 months of development, it's crazy how big the difference is in quality. Sure, it's not perfect. Metropolis is a complete dumpster fire, but other than that glaring issue, there is not much else I can complain about. Super Sonic is an awesome unlockable, and a great prize for collecting all 7 Chaos Emeralds. Goes a long way in actually giving incentive to the special stages that was completely absent before. Just letting loose and wrecking everything feels so good, mostly because you earned it. It wasn't just given to you, you conquered the special stages, and in return the game rewards you with the ultimate gift. Well, that's all I have to say for Sonic 2. Join me next time for Sonic's weirdest and perhaps most divisive adventure in his catalog, Sonic the Hedgehog CD. Until then, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you then.